Bloodline, the Harper House Tragedy. A case closed, perpetrator deceased. At Ash Hollow, Tennessee, on March 12, 2014. Survivor, Grace Harper. The illusion of ordinary. Ash Hollow was the kind of place you'd miss if you blinked. One gas station, one diner. The kind of town where everyone waves and nobody asks too many questions. The Harper family fit right in, or at least they appeared to. Daniel Harper was a paramedic. Eleanor was a former preschool teacher turned homeschooling mom. Their two children, Grace and Noah, were polite, quiet, well-behaved. They lived just outside town in an old farmhouse on Maple Ridge Road. White paint peeling, a rusted swing set in the backyard, a dog named Riley that barked at passing cars. To their neighbors, the Harpers were private but loving. No one suspected the darkness inside. But Grace Harper remembers it differently. We weren't a family. We were a stage play. Every time someone came around, we became the Harpers the world wanted to see. And when the curtain closed, that's when the real show started. Cracks beneath the surface. Daniel was a respected first responder. He saved lives. But he couldn't save himself from the storm brewing in his own mind. Grace's earliest memories were of walking on eggshells. Daniel was volatile, not in front of others, but at home. His anger boiled just under the surface. He controlled what they ate, who they talked to, when they went out. Eleanor, once lively and strong, slowly faded. She became withdrawn, apologetic. Grace remembers seeing her mother cry silently in the kitchen, wiping tears with the back of her hand before putting on a smile. There were red flags. In 2011, Eleanor briefly left with the children. She stayed at her sister's for 2 weeks before returning. No one knows exactly why. Some suspect threats. Others blame the lack of support and money. One police call was made in 2012. No charges. No follow-up. People believe my dad because he wore a uniform. My mom, she disappeared in plain sight. Grace's breaking point. By 2013, Grace was 17 and beginning to resist. She had dreams of college, art school, a life outside Ash Hollow. Daniel didn't like that. He began isolating her. Took the door off her bedroom. Went through her phone. Read her journals. One day, he burned a sketchbook he deemed inappropriate because it had a drawing of a girl with a nose ring. Eleanor tried to intervene once, and Daniel shoved her into a wall. That was the last time Eleanor stood up to him. Noah, only 10, was shielded from most of the tension. Grace would later say she kept quiet for his sake. I wanted to run, but I couldn't leave Noah with him. So I stayed. I swallowed it all, until I couldn't anymore. March 12, 2014, the night of fire. It was just after 2 a.m. when the fire department was called to the Harper home. Grace, barefoot and bloodied, had escaped through the basement window and run nearly half a mile down the road to a neighbor's porch. She had burns on her hands, glass in her feet, and she was screaming, "He's going to kill them." He set the house on fire. When firefighters arrived, flames were already consuming the first floor. It took over an hour to control the blaze. Inside, they found Eleanor and Noah upstairs, unconscious from smoke inhalation. Neither survived. Daniel's body was found in the garage. He had shot himself with his service weapon. The cause of the fire was clear. Gasoline had been poured through the kitchen and hallway. The fire was intentional. The deaths were not accidents. This was a double murder-suicide. Grace's bedroom door had been nailed shut. The aftermath. The town of Ash Hollow mourned. There were candlelight vigils, moments of silence at school, and a memorial at the town square. But as more details emerged, the town's grief turned into discomfort. The facade of the perfect family was shattered. People asked, how did no one see it? How did it get this far? Grace was placed under protective care, then went to live with an aunt in North Carolina. For months, she didn't speak publicly, but she wrote, she journaled, she painted. It was her way of clawing back control. In a taped interview 2 years later, Grace sat down with a documentary filmmaker. The interviewer asked her what justice meant to her. She replied, "Justice? My father never faced a courtroom. My brother didn't get to grow up. My mom died trying to protect us. There's no justice for that. There's only truth. And truth hurts, but it heals too. Legacy. Today, Grace Harper is a licensed trauma counselor. She works with survivors of domestic violence and gives lectures at high schools and police departments about spotting emotional abuse. She's never returned to Ash Hollow. The Harper House stood abandoned for years before it was torn down in 2019. In its place, a small wildflower garden grows, planted by a local women's shelter in honor of Eleanor and Noah. A bench stands at the edge. On it is a quote chosen by Grace. "What we survive, we speak. What we speak, we change." The Harper tragedy is not unique, but it is unforgettable. It is a story of generational pain, of silence, and of one girl's decision to break it before it broke her.